Hey guys, so electronics. I've been farting around this morning trying to get this all sorted out. The electronics aren't the problem, it's a program. And found a few bugs, like there's something to be said for just using it as is. Adapting to use this was I made a few mistakes. I did the code kind of yesterday and didn't have any way of really checking it, and now that I'm getting to this stage I realize that there was a couple of errors in it. Some things where I got the logic of the circuit wrong. You tend to think when you're looking at buttons here that press the button and that means on, but in actual fact, if I would have taken the time to understand how this circuit was supposed to work, depressing the button is actually sending a 0 to the computer. Releasing the button sends a 1. So inverted logic, meant that this had to be in, the buttons I'm using on here had to be inverted. I also kind of had to experimentally determine which was the correct way that the joystick was supposed to work for steering and for that pitch function, because it wasn't exactly explained in the code, and maybe somebody would say it was self-evident. Self-documenting code is a famous computer statement that is BS, but nevertheless. So I'm going to finish wiring this stuff in here. I was doing my testing with another board that was loose, because this one's just a little hard to work with as is. But I'm going to wire all this stuff up, and at that point I have to use the battery. I might be grabbing a laptop, and I'm going to have to reformat that laptop because that laptop is old, but that'll be another setback. But nevertheless, wire this stuff up, connect it up to this guy, which I still have to put back together, and put my little speedo on it and all that other fun stuff. And then we'll do our first tests with the wheels off the ground, and we'll see how well that works. As I'm pointing at the dirt instead of the frame or a tire or this pile of junk here. Anyways, I'm gonna get to it. I like to ramble. Okay, there we go. We're ready for the first test here. I got the wheels propped up. Everything's all wired up. The only thing that I'm not too certain about is this switch. I think this switch is... It looked like a heavy-duty switch when I bought it, and I'll be honest, it doesn't look very heavy-duty now. So anyways, I'm going to grab the tripod, I'll set this up, and we'll start the tests here, and we'll see how we go. Okay, so here we go. First test is to see if tilting works, and that will be by turning it on. And I know that this will be initialized when the red light comes on the controller. At that point, I depress the R2 button, which is my dead man switch. And I suppose I should try and make sure that nothing is in the anywhere near the chains. But at that point, you can do the tilt start. Now, it's smart enough to wait until you actually tilt upwards. Otherwise, it would rocket off as soon as you turn the power on. So let's turn this thing on. Watch that switch smoke, because I'm willing to bet it's not going to be good enough. Okay, we got any lights? We do not have any lights on the main board. Okay, that's that switch. I noticed this the other day, is that if you pull the switch all the way out, it doesn't make contact. So there we go. Fans going on the motor. Lights on the boards. Light is on here. Let's try her out. Depress our R2 button. Can you guys actually see me? I don't know if you need to see me. You really want to see that thing. We lift her up, and when it hits level, come on, wakey wakey. be that way, are you? Yeah, I was afraid that was going to happen. I'm going to have to bring the laptop out here and connect it up so I can monitor what the little microcontroller is doing. It's a little frustrating. Are we seeing any error lights on here? I'm being careful to stay the hell away from any of the motors or chains or anything like that. Well, the controller board is saying all status, all things are go. This is a pisser. Okay, so I'm getting power to the board. I think that there's no avoiding it. There's a software problem here. So something isn't quite working right. Okay, let's turn that off. Try again. Can't give up on the first try. I'll give up on the second one. Okay, all the lights are on. This thing is supposedly initialized. We hold our R2 button and we'll try it again here. Okay, so I'm going to pause you guys, go in and get, I have to, unfortunately, this is going to take a while because it's an old laptop and I have to actually reinstall Windows on it. So it's going to take me a while before I come back out here to try this again, but nevertheless, I'll unplug it and I'll disconnect the wires or the batteries, and we'll go from there. Well, I just finished, well, not just, but I finished setting up that computer, and right now I'm just copying the Arduino software over to it, and we'll see how we go here. See if we can figure out what the deal is with this thing. You know, yeah, it's puzzling. There's no use speculating because it could be anything. It could be that, you know, in the process of hooking this stuff up in here, that something failed, and it might be as simple as that, or who knows, there might be a bad ground, might be the motor controller isn't actually connected up, and I think the dog just found out that the fence is ticking. Vicky moved the fence out so the goats aren't nosing around next to me, but nevertheless. Oh, 4 minutes remaining. I'll pause you guys for a second, then I'll come back to this. Well, I think I figured out what my problem is. I don't know how quick it's going to be to fix it, but I ran my test program here, and there's just the results from the screen. When I press one of the buttons on here, it will give me the current readings of the gyroscope inputs, and they are not right. They're not only are they not changing when this thing, you know, is angled or not, but they're at the wacky values they were that the other day when I was having problems with it and I couldn't figure out why, and it ended up being a bad ground. Well, no ground in that case. Looking at the wiring in here, and it all looks okay. So either it broke, you know, well, from anywhere from here, you know, all the way through to this end. So I'm gonna have to cut the accelerometer out of there and unwrap it, and I guess test it all over again. It's gonna suck. It's a bit of a setback. We'll see how we go, but nevertheless, you know, it's not gonna work by me staring at it. Okay, I'm back to bench testing this thing again to figure out what's going on. And removing the heat shrink off of here, it did damage things, but there's still an electrical connection. So recut that one later on, and then I'm going to rewrap it in tape, not that sealing heat shrink, which was a pain in the ass. But apparently not the problem. Okay, I got to pull that out and then I'll check all the solder connections, make sure they're all okay, and go from there. You know, like, this is one of those situations where this thing should work, but it's not. It's kind of annoying, to say the least. Anyways, I'll get to it. I got my movie ready to go here, and I'll be watching that while I figure this out. Okay, after all that, it's, what is it? 15 after 11. And I'm still farting around with this. I think I figured out what the problem was, and I don't think that there, after all the farting around I did, damage I did, and all this and that, I came to the conclusion that I don't think that there actually was anything wrong with the hardware or the software. It was just that there was a calibration issue with the board, and it just needed to be tilted further for it to kick in, which is incredibly frustrating, but such as it is. Even more frustrating, this stupid laptop has decided that it doesn't recognize the board anymore. So, and it won't let me install the driver, won't let me upgrade it, won't let me repair it, all the different choices you have for that. So I've had enough for today, so I'm going to give up. I'm not going to frustrate myself anymore. I'll come back to it tomorrow and have a look again. So anyways, sorry for the, for the anticlimactic end to this. It should have been running, but I just, I've had enough for right now. So we'll try again tomorrow, and we'll see where we go from there. Thanks for watching, guys. Okay, predictably, I couldn't leave this thing alone. I figured out why it was getting all bent out of shape. I don't know why it's getting bent out of shape, but basically there are two USB ports on this computer, and if I swap back and forth between them every time I unplug it from here, then it doesn't have a problem with the driver for this stupid board. Can you believe it? It's just insanely crazy stuff, and it only just started doing that. So here's what I'm doing now. I'm going to do some tests. I have not reconnected the motors because I don't trust that things aren't going to go apeshit. But nevertheless, I'm going to try to see if this thing recognizes the tilt start correctly, but I can't really do it with holding the camera, so I'm going to just have to pause you guys and I'll tell you what the results are. It seems like the board, the accelerometer is not reading angles correctly anymore. Maybe I staticked it and carrying it out here from the house to here, or who knows what happened, but I might have done some damage to it, or it might have just been working that way all along. There is some calibration settings I can set in here for that, so I might end up having to have to use that. Nevertheless, let's try this out and I'll let you guys know what happened, and then I've had enough. Okay, so just to give you some idea about what's going on here. The accelerometer, inclinometer, gyro, billion things in one. This is what it thinks is 4 degrees from vertical, which looks to me to be closer to 30. But nevertheless, something's gone crazy with the calibration on it. And I don't know why. Like, it worked fine on my house when I was programming it from my house computer. So then the only thing I can come to the conclusion is that this laptop is introducing some kind of wacky problem, but I don't know how it could make everything still work, but completely screw up my calibration, because it makes no sense. It has no direct connection to that. It's connecting through the Arduino. Regardless, this is something I'm going to have to figure out tomorrow. It's getting way too late. I already shut everything down here, so I'm going to disconnect that, bring it back into the house, and try and figure out what's going on. Failing that, I think I have to assume that I ruined the accelerometer. I staticked it or something like that. That's about the only other thing that makes any sense at all. So at that point, it'll probably be next week before I would get, end of next week before I'd get a new one. So I should have ordered a couple, and I meant to order a couple, and they weren't particularly expensive. They were both 35 bucks a piece, but I only ordered one because I wasn't too sure how well this was going to work. Oh well, always order a spare. Anyways, guys, thanks a lot for watching. I know this has been a long process and just going to be a little bit longer before I get a test run on this thing. Later.